Welcome back to Celebrity Radio. It's Alex Belfield talking to some of the world's biggest stars and some of my favourite people, and we've got one for you today. Dave Spikey, how are you?
How are you, mate? You all right, Alex?
Yeah, good. I was looking in my little black book, and we've spoken so many times over the years, from Bullseye to Tours, and some 10 years later, you're still at it. Congratulations.
Thank you. It's eons, isn't it? It's eons, mate. Yeah, it is. I remember we were at school together. No, it has. I've been very lucky, you know. One thing's led to another, led to another, you know, and the tours have come in between. So, sort of, since I left the hospital in 2000, which isn't that long ago, really, relatively speaking, I've been very lucky.
Let's go back, for those who didn't hear our first interviews, let's start at the beginning. Your career was extraordinary, and it was a proper job, and it was professional, and you sort of gave it all up for telling knob gags, didn't you?
I've never done a knob gag, ever. Well, but no, it's one of those weird things, isn't it? How life throws up these, you know, you've got to make decisions. You get to crossroads and, T-junctions mainly, aren't they, generally? And you've got to make one choice or another, and you suddenly find yourself at this destination where your last decision is, do I stay in this profession of, I was a biomedical scientist, I was in charge of the haematology lab at the local hospital, or do I go out and support Jack D and Lee Evans and Max Boys and Cannonball and all these inquiries I was getting in, you know, and but then I met Peter, and then that was the sort of that lit the blue touch paper and stand back, because Phoenix Nights took off, and there wasn't much of a decision to be made, really.
You really were the big star of that show after Peter. I mean, he turned you into a legend with Jerry, and you must be grateful for that.
Well, I am, but you know, there were 3 writers on it, and we all brought an equal amount to the table. And I'd grown up in those clubs, and you know, when we got down to writing Jerry, I'd seen so many Jerrys. I'd seen not particularly like compers, but you know, git vox as they call them, you know, guitar vocalists and comedians and comedy singers. And so he was a composite of all these people I'd met. So I sort of really knew Jerry, and a few of the other characters. It was, as I say, we came up with a character, and then we all went, oh, I know a bloke like that, and everybody had an input to it, and we sort of challenged each other to go on, you make him funny, you make him bigger, you make him better on every character. Like, my favourite character that Neil built on quite a lot was Archie Kelly's character, you know, Kenny Senior.
Yeah.
Who's just a pathological liar. And we all know somebody like that. I think that's the beauty of the series, in a way, that, you know, you identify with them, because it was based initially on, well, my idea was a guy who used to come in our pub, who we used to call MFI, because he was only marginally fucking interesting. And but the sad thing about these people is they tell you these lies in order to impress and in order to convince you that it really happened when you know it didn't. But the sad thing is that you think they believe in themselves as well. That's the thing. So he came to the pub one night and he said, "Oh, what a day I've had." Don't ask why. Well, he said, "Cardiac arrest." Who? Me? What? So what you've been to cardiology? You've been to accident situation? No time for that. No time for that. I was ironing. I was watching Loose Women, and I was ironing, and I knew all the symptoms because I watch Aldi. I got the pain in the chest, got the tightness, I got the pins and needles in the hand. I thought, that's it, that's me done. What am I going to do? Well, I've got 3 minutes. That's all you've got. 3 minutes. No time to make it to the phone. So we're all sat like mouths open, ready to drink like that. And he's like, yeah. So what did you do? Well, what could I do? I ripped the wires out of the iron on my chest. Just got it going again. And apply to Mr. Murray when you're ready. Post stretch. And so Neil knew a lot of bloke like that who went in his pub who said he was a member of the Triads and all that, and then Peter knew somebody, whatever. And so every character was an amalgam of all our ideas and challenges to each other.
What worries me, though, Dave, is I've done the clubs lately, and there are still these people around, and there are still those acts that you feature on the show in a comedy way, doing it for real. And you worry sometimes that you might be one of them. It's a very difficult job, isn't it, to work it all out?
It is really, you know, especially when you're so familiar with those clubs as well. But one of the nice things is, and as you said, they're not as many anyway, half as many as they were. But I can go anywhere in the country and people will say to me, "You bet Jerry Sinclair, you based him on this compare, haven't you?" Here. Because he is him.
Yeah.
Which is very gratifying. You've done the job right, haven't you? Because you've nailed it. And but everybody, actually Kelly, you know, young Kenny and all those people that by imposter people think you're based in on some club owner down the, what is it, the lakeside, and big club down there and all. We didn't base them on anybody in particular, but it's nice to think that people think we did.
It's amazing as well. One night I did a British Legion and they said, if you could do half an hour, we're going to be back on with the bingo and we don't want to be late. And I think I went a minute over. They switched the entire power off on the PA system and the lights, and 5 and 4, 54. They won't wait, will they?
No. Well, I tell two stories that people think are written. And they're not. They actually happened to me. Where in my early days, when there were no real, we were limited on opportunities for what we hate tags in comedy, like the alternative scene. So I was doing the working men's and dying on my backside in half of them, But the compers keeps coming on and going, sort of have a minute silence for one of the members, just though he died, he's been a good servant to this club, Tommy, and people shouting out to me, go on, Tommy, go on, son, and all minute silence, but anyway, here you go, Dave Spikey. You've got to walk on to that, Yeah. And I did an Australian theme night. I might have told you this story before, one of the very first things, and it was in Golka, which is near Huddersfield. And they'd really gone to town. I think it was like 4X, it was Castlemaine 4X, and so it's cheap lager, so it's packed, it's Yorkshire, it's a Thursday night, And they've made an effort, there's didgeridoos and there's hats with corks on, and, there's the Australian flags and all that, and Comper went on and said, right, ladies and gentlemen, we're ready for your next time, your next turn here. I don't know why they boot me for it, but unless they thought it was Dave Skippy, maybe that is dyslexic concert secretary. And he looked down for it, and there's a boomerang. And he said, hey, lads, do you think if I throw this, it'll come back? And the bloke at the bar said, if it hits me, it fucking will. And we introduced all that. The guy who went on and said, before we start, I've had some very serious allegations from some members of the club about misappropriation of funds by the committee and misuse of funds and booking of crap acts, ladies and gentlemen, and claiming wrong on expenses. And these allegations are very hurtful to the committee. And so we've convened at a meeting of the committee, an extraordinary general meeting, to which I'll all attend, and I hope the alligators will be there. You can't. It's comedy gold. You just can't write it, can you? I
know. I did one at Christmas last year, and as I walked in, the guy said to me, "Here, son, we've had 3 members die this week, so keep it clean." And you just think, well, where do you go from that? I've got to do an hour and a half, and 3 of them are already dead.
Criteria, it's that, yeah, I know. The other one I got was, we've had a complaint from the members of the committee and also from many of you that the acts have been getting a substandard, and we have because of the recession, we have cut back, and we've been using the different agents for our acts. Anyway, I'll have you know that we listen to you, and we have. From next week, we're gonna, you know what's coming on. We're gonna reinstate the services of our former concert secretary. But in the meantime,
you can't have any sense of pride about yourself whatsoever. I think that's what's so brilliant about Phoenix Nights is I think those in the South think that it's some figment of the imagination. To people like you and me, it's our reality.
Oh, it's reality. It's what we grew up with. I mean, the number of social clubs when I was growing up as a kid, my dad used to take me in when I first started drinking, and half a mile for 11 pence or something, old pence, and seeing all these people and being absorbed into that world, it is a wonderful world. It's a community centre, really, it's where everybody goes to get together, and there's still plenty of them, but when I was growing up, you had a Ukrainian club, Polish club, you had, British Legion, like you say, Comic Club, Liberal Club, Labour Club, all on the same road, and all doing well, because after work, they all wanted to go in there and just relax,
Dave, I love you very much, and because your act is so real and it's so refreshing. It seems like a lot of people are trying to be smart asses on stage now, and they refuse to do jokes and punchlines. I love the fact that you have your audience in the palm of your hand within minutes, and that's because of these clubs and years of doing it. And you're back on tour next year with the Punchline, so that's great. That means there's going to be jokes.
Well, it does. I got the idea, as we've spoken so many times, I always need a theme to hang the tour on, really. And I got to thinking and got to noticing, and why I just noticed, but that's how it works, isn't it? That when people go out for a night out, or just in a local pub midweek, or there's groups of people, 2s, 3s, 4s, 5s, it doesn't matter, if they're out in a restaurant, they will end up laughing. It's something in our nature that we will always end up laughing. And when the people start laughing, there's something else in our competitive edge that wants us to better that laugh. So you start getting a competition. And I suddenly started thinking, well, actually, those are punchlines. We're creating punchlines. We provided our own stories. It might be what happened to us on the market, what something we saw on the television, what we read in the paper. And we're telling that story, which is essentially the structure of a joke. And then somebody's coming in from left field, punch, with the punchline. And so I thought, that's a nice idea. What if I examine all the different areas that it's a very broad canvas, really. And I can get in some classic gags. And the premise of the show is that I show, pre-show and during the interval on a big screen on the stage, a series of punchlines. There's about 8, maybe 8, 9, 10. It depends on how the things are going. And I just project them. And that my premise is that I can go on in the second half of the show and I can do the joke or the story to that punchline and still get a big laugh from it. And it works. It works for all sorts of reasons that I sort of go into, and the way that the comedian's art provides him with an armory of like wordplay, misdirection, mispronunciation, you name it, misunderstandings, whatever. And also the thing is, when you just project it, the person reads it in their way, not necessarily in the way I'm going to deliver that punchline,
Yeah.
And it's a brilliant thing, because there is a theory that because your brain is a pattern-making machine in a way, once you've made that story, so you've done the setup, you've done the story, you've done the punchline, whether it be a real story or a joke, so that you've not that pattern has been made then. So when you start that story again, the brain jumps across to the conclusion, and you don't get a laugh because you know that story. The whole theory of a punchline is it surprises you. It's a shock. It's a surprise. But I'm trying to dispel that because I'm giving them these punchlines and then doing the joke, and it is working perfectly.
Wow, that's interesting. It's a bit like Penn and Teller when they tell you how they do the trick before they do it, but you still love it anyway. Yeah,
and along the way we talk about people, the way we talk, and the way that punchlines naturally occur in punchlines, and in newspaper, we've spoken before again about. I'm a massive fan of newspaper headlines, but essentially, again, the headline is a punchline because we've got the story, we've got the synopsis, so you've got the setup, and the journalist has then got to attract your attention by putting a punchline, effectively, by drawing your attention to that story. Yeah. And obviously the red tops, they're the sun and the star, and they're the ones who are adept at that, doing that sort of thing, just to highlight the story. Yeah. And then there are other little stories that just demand a punchline, that the story's there. And the one I use on tour, well, I use several, but the one I start that little section with is from the Hartlepool Mail, and it's from this year. And it's a little tiny story, it's a lovely story, and the headline is something like, police board ship and arrest drunken disorderly sailor. And it's 2 paragraphs, and it said, Cleveland police joined with the harbour police to board a ship in Seal Sound Harbour in Hartlepool and arrest a drunken disorderly sailor at 4 a.m. yesterday morning. And you just think, well, what are they going to do with the drunken sailor that early in the morning? And then I've got my song lyrics again. I do all my
I love that,
a complete brand new section, because again, a lyric, a song.
It's genius. The Desiree stuff you did last time, stunning.
Yeah, that's the only one I've kept from the old one. And then just to illustrate the point about these stories that just demand, as I say, demand punchlines. I demand deeper analysis of the story, not to bring out the comedy in the mail. So it's a 2-hour show, and jokes, yes, maybe about 10 in the 2 hours, but to prove a point. Yeah. But the rest of it is just the structure, and it's the structure of the joke, I suppose, and the funny story.
But it's what you define as a joke. I mean, you're a funny guy. It sounds like you're doing jokes even when you're not, because you're just naturally funny. Yeah. I wonder when you did the clubs whether you had sort of 10 in the back of your head that when you were dying on your arse you could pull out that were always guaranteed to get laughs, or didn't it work like that?
Yes, it did work like that, yeah. You do a routine, and it's so unpredictable, isn't it? You can be going really well, you can get them straight from the beginning, and they're all enthusiastic, and you think, well, if you like that, you'll like this. By nothing, and then you try a bit more, and you've got a little routine about your granddad, and it's not going, so and then you need a saver, so you pull out of your repertoire something that you can really vaguely link, very tenuously link to that routine, and go, talking to nuns, but yes, you've got to have that. You've got to have that armory of it. But
I guess so these days, sort of punchlines and jokes and zingers are almost redundant. When you pick up the papers and look at what's going on today with Black Friday and the way people are behaving, almost you don't need jokes anymore. It writes itself, doesn't it? I can't believe what I'm seeing on Facebook and Twitter and YouTube today. It's extraordinary.
The human race, well, the British race, it is. I do a little thing again about you open the paper and you've got these, is it April Fool's Day? Do people really behave like this?
Yes.
You know, it does.
How much do you want a 42-inch plasma screen TV that you're going to run over people in the car park, you're going to push through the doors and stampede over people, and then you're going to put it on top of your child in the back of the car? It is unbelievable.
That's you see, you just embellish the stories not to make me laugh there with the towel on the back seat of the car. It's perfect.
No, there's a picture. I'm not making this up. On the Mail Online right now, there is a child with a 42-inch plasma screen TV sat on its knee. You couldn't make it up.
Well, I thought you said a towel. It's a child. It's all greed. It's all part of avarice. It's all part of the society we live in.
I guess. Black Friday, it certainly is, but not for you, because the tour comes out next year, starts on March the 8th. You're going to Salford Quays to the Lowry. 14th of March, you'll be in Stoke-on-Trent at Victoria Hall. The 19th, you move on to Loughborough, Rochdale the 21st, Cheltenham 28th. We move to April, where you'll be in Oldham on the 1st. Leeds at City Varieties, a gorgeous venue, on the 2nd. Hull City Hall on the 10th. Stockport on the 11th. 23rd of April at Keswick. 25th at Newark Palace. I'll see you there. And Blackburn on the 30th of April. And, of course, before that, we've got to talk about it before we go. Phoenix Nights is back at the Manchester Arena on the 31st of Jan and 1st of Feb for Comic Relief. What a fantastic thing. We've waited too long for this, Dave.
How exciting am I? Yeah, I'm like a giddy kipper. It's mad when I think about it. No, and I'm not having you on there. When I think about it and know it's all been announced and all that, I do get a tingle down my neck and my spine. I'm so looking forward to it. It's just great getting everybody back together, you know. We did a photo shoot and all that, and it's like, we all got our costumes on, and it's just like, he's back, she's back, we're back, you know. Because we were all really good mates on it, and we've all done reasonably, from one degree to another, very well out of it. I mean, Neil and Steve Edge have made great careers acting-wise. You know, Toby's on the radio, Justin's gigging and getting on live from the Apollo, and... You know, Paddy's done Paddy, and Paddy's just fantastic, and so we've all done great. But it's difficult getting us all back together, and to do it, it's been just brilliant. And it came from such a humble place. I mean, you didn't know it was going to be the huge, whopping, great big success that it became. It could have just been one of those filler shows on Channel 4. Well, it didn't. It sort of got hid away, but sometimes that works in your benefit, doesn't it? I think we knew it was good. I mean, that sounds big-headed, but you know, me, Neil, and Peter, we laid it, we just, as I said before, we used the term challenge each other to come up with something that seems not quite right yet. What can we come up with? Is it going to be a gag, a sight gag, or something on the radio, or are we going to hide some song lyrics in the conversation? You know, just let's make people discover stuff. Basically, we had this idea that long-lasting comedies were ones that people would come back to time and again and still find something new. So that was the game plan. But then, as you say, it's indefinable, really, how things get picked up and get a cult following, if you like, because it was hidden away sort of late on a Friday night, and people love discovering stuff, don't they? They love being the first to see it and then saying to somebody the day after, did you see that Phoenix Nights? No, you've got to watch that. So by the time the repeats came on, and by the time the second series was due, and the anticipation was there, because it had all worked in our favour, in a way, being tucked away that first time, you know. And but I mean, at the end of the day, we worked very hard on it, and we were always surprised at how much something takes off. But well, I mean, it's up there with The Office and Gavin and Stacey. Those really rare things that people just fall in love with. And like the above, I can watch it again and again and again and find a new line every time I watch it. What I love is those little things like your corned beef song in the supermarket. And you never forget them because they're just legendary bits of comedy. And to see that stuff live is so thrilling. Will it all be new, or will it sort of be a best of, or can't you talk about it? Can't talk about it. Okay. Only because we want to keep it as a big surprise. Good for you, yeah. You know what I mean? It's just if people are talking beforehand about what's going to happen, we'd rather that didn't happen. We'd rather just take everybody by surprise, really. So it must be exciting, though, that we're so excited we want to know. That's brilliant, isn't it? Yeah, it is brilliant. And, you know, I don't tweet a lot. It's part of the game, and you've got to do it. But since it was announced, just loads of tweets coming to all of us, just with lines out of the series, lines that I'd forgotten about,
yes.
great lines, you know, and so many of them,
yeah.
so many things that people have picked up on, you know. So it's just been wonderful reaction.
It is just 2 dates for Comic Relief, which is a wonderful way to bring it back. Is there any way, though, that people like me in Nottingham will get to see it, or the O2 will get to see it in London? Because, I mean, 2 nights isn't enough. The demand could tour this for a year, couldn't it?
Well, it could do. We'll have to wait and see. But no, I'm pretty sure Peter said it's not going to tour. It's, as far as I know, we're not doing a series off the back of it. I think it's just this for Comic Relief, basically, and it means people travelling, I'm afraid. It's the only chance you're going to see it is, as far as I know, and on art, it will be at Manchester Arena.
Fabulous. And how long have you been working on it, or is this all pretty fresh and new?
Well, we've been talking about it for a few months, you know, and but it's always been like a bit tenuous because we weren't sure we could get everybody together. So it's only very recently that we've confirmed that everybody can do it. So I've been thinking about it and what I might contribute to it, but we've not really had a meeting yet or rehearsals or anything like that. So the content is still unknown, shall we say.
Right. Listen, my final question, I've got 4,000 questions I've got to ask you. Got through 3,999 of them. My final question, can you get me a pair of tickets for the Phoenix Nights show in Manchester?
Well, it's Comic Relief, so, you know.
Oh, I'll pay. I don't mind paying. I think everybody's willing to pay.
I thought you should get.
No, paying's no problem. It's just getting them. I mean, there literally will be less than 20,000 seats and 64 million people wanting to see it.
Yeah, well, no, I'm afraid not. Sorry.
I thought we were mates. Dave, you know I love you very much. You're one of Britain's best and leading comedians. You're stunning live. You just captivate audiences from the second you walk on. You have a warmth that is so wonderful. I mean it as well. And that's what you brought to Phoenix Nights. All of you are true comedians that have warmth. And that's why I think we have such affection towards you. And I hope you know that.
That's a very nice thing to say. I appreciate that, mate.
Back on tour from March 8th, of course, those 2 shows at the Manchester Arena for Phoenix Nights. You can find out more by going to Dave Spikey's website. davespikey.co.uk is the place to go and find out about his brand new Punchline tour for 2015. A real honour talking to you. Thanks, Dave.
Oh, it's always a pleasure. Cheers, man.